Hi, I'm Dave, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to look at consistency. So when I got my first two of these Home Racer Series Policar WRX cars, I did a bit of a test and tune, but only a light tune on them, and I casually said, well, these will be great for a IROC class. Now, it's a good question. I mean, these two are good, but I've got four. How consistent are they? How similar in every way should these cars be? Now, I reason that Policar will have made these cars in batches, so they've probably made all the blue ones, and then all the silver ones, all the yellow ones, and all the orange ones, or in some order. These, I think, represent different parts of the first batch of release of these cars. So it's kind of a random selection, I guess. So I want to look at them and see just how similar they all are. Are these two similar to these two? Now, these two are quite similar, but there are a few little deviations and variations, which I shall explain to you. So this one, if I pick it up and run it, you can hear it's not lovely, but it's a fairly smooth run. This one, however, those gears are really not as good as the ones on the blue car. It's a lot noisier. Now, I don't quite know why that is, but I'm going on the fact that the pinion is plastic, and plastic when it's cast is never going to be as accurate as a piece of brass, for example. So given that these cars aren't entirely the same, I thought we'd try all four together and give them a good comparison, a look at the outside, a look at underneath, and a look at how they run. So first thing I need to do is get these two new ones out of the boxes. I like these. There's lots of cardboard and not very much plastic. So there we are, four cars. And they do look pretty identical. So a little bit of fancy editing. Here are all four on the turntable, all just going round together. I think I did all right there. As you can see, they are all very, very identical. The mould is obviously quite fresh, so all of these bodies have come out of the mould good. The paint is pretty blemish free all round. The badges are all on in all the right places. The fit and finish on, you know, the lights, the glasswork, the twin exhausts at the back, all of those things, all very identical. I mean, you might say they're good or bad or otherwise, but they're all the same. That's what we're really looking at here. And a quick close look up at the cars, you know, I'm just checking that, you know, you can feel with your fingers if there's any blemishes in the paint as much as looking at it. And this all looks good. Decals are on the back. And that blanked number plate. And on the front, the two little badges on the grille and the grille detail. So that one is good. The silver one, again, very much the same kind of thing. Quick check of them all over. Yep, that's good. And the blue one, similarly, is very good. Now, I'm not complaining about the orange one. The orange one's great as well. But where the air scoop is on the front bonnet, the paint's a little bit thin going into the air scoop there. You can see the primer through a little bit. And there is, and you can't see it, but you can feel it, there is a little bit of dirt or hair or fibre or something underneath the paint, just there. But literally, that is it. For four cars that cost, you know, less than £100 for all of them, I think that's pretty good going. They are, in fact, so similar in many ways. If I turn them over, every single one of them has got a little bit of paint overspill on the front. And with the exception of the blue one, if you look at these, all of these guides are kind of canted one way out the factory. That one isn't, because I've messed with the wires a bit and straightened it up. But out the factory, they're all the same. And just to double check, all the castings on the bottom, same levels of detail, no flaws in them. So there we are. I've taken all the bodies off, just because you don't need to see me unscrew everything all at once. Now, the two at the back I've previously tuned. The two at the front have still got magnets in. And I've done, I mean, they're box fresh. Interestingly, of these two newer ones, this one you'll see is a bit wet underneath there. That has got some oil on it and has been run for a test, and the gear and the pinion are wet as well. This one is bone dry, so this one hasn't been greased at all, and you can see the gear and the pinion at the back dry as well, and obviously magnet in there. So yes, there's a variation in finishing of these cars. Some of them get lubricated, some of them don't. The front axle float seems to be the same on both of them if I compare them. And again, one of them has wet front bushings for the axle and one of them has dry front bushings. So it's always good to take the body off and check these things. There's a little bit of sideways float in the rear on both of them. I would say that's pretty much the same. Not very scientific test here. They do make broadly the same noise. So I would say the gear noise that you're going to inevitably get from these cars will be the same. This one, that's quite a quiet one. That's a smooth running one. And this one is the terrible one. It's hard to pick up from the camera microphone, but it is audibly different and a bit more rough. You can see when I took the magnet out on this one, I put in 2 pieces of lead, one bit either side, and I sanded off the tyres, and that really is just track sanding, and that's all I've done in terms of tuning on the silver one and the blue one. So I've done the same now in terms of removing the magnet and putting the lead into the orange one and the yellow one, and I'll just pop the shell back on. And now, let's just have a little listen to the blue car again. Fairly smooth sounding. We'll just do a quick lap. Nice smooth sounding car. This is the noisy one, of course. And I don't know if you can hear that, but it's quite whiny. That yellow one sounds a bit saucy, but they've all got the same motor in. And that one is a little quieter running as well. Yeah. That one's definitely the roughest one of the lot. So that seems to be the main variation in terms of quality and consistency of production over the range. That one's the noisy one. That one sounds a little bit fruity. And the other two are kind of smooth runners, really. So I hadn't sanded the tyres on the 2 new ones before I did a lap with them. So a bit of wet and dry just on the track. I'm not going to go too mad with this because I only want to really take the high points off the tyres and match what I've done with the other car. So a bit of a scrub on the paper, and you can see there's a low patch there. The edges of the tyre are high, the middle is low, which is why you've got that funny mark on it. So there's a little bit of work to do there, just spinning the tyres one at a time, just to get the tyres round. Truing the tyres is something that might come later, but just rough sanding them just to get the high spots off them is all I'm really after at this point, to match the tuning of the other two cars I've got. And that one runs very much like the blue one, quite quiet really. Same treatment with the yellow one's tyres. And that is a little bit more whiny sounding, but good nonetheless. So I think the blue one and the yellow one are pretty well matched, and the silver one is the worst in terms of noise from the gears. So how similar are they? Right, I'm just going to take one of them for a few laps. Now, as before, fairly easy to drive, but I'm going to crash it. Oops. And let's check what time we got. 6.710 seconds. So, same with the orange one. Bit smoother, bit less whiny. Oops. I mean, they are bulletproof, these things. 6.656. Blue one. Yeah, this one is super quiet on the track. The gears really do barely make a noise at all. Oops. Now, 6.842, this one. That's a number to remember. Because here's the silver one. Noisy. Oops. Now, here's the thing. Look at that. So, yes, pretty much out the box. Magnet out, bit of weight in, rough sand the tyres, off we go. And look, the spread on those cars is minimal. Much of that's probably just down to me. Now, the only thing that's outstanding really is this noisy silver car. So, a bit of car polish. I've set my voltage on my track to about 9 volts, and I've put a hairband around the trigger on my controller just to hold it down a little bit, and there we are, it runs, and it's a bit noisy. Now here's some car polish. Now I'm only using car polish for this because it's fairly gentle, not too abrasive. If these were metal gears, I might go up to some G3 compound, but this car polish is quite fine, and it is a plastic gear, so I don't want to kind of destroy the gear. I just want to run it in a little bit. So a bit of car polish on there, run it at fairly low revs. Just feed a little bit more car polish in. And just keep doing that for, well, until it gets quieter. Now let's see the difference. There we are. And that's quietened this car right down. And I will of course work through all 4 cars and quieten them right down like that, so that they're all just the same and not too noisy, because you wouldn't want them too noisy if you were running lots of them. So, in summary, is this car consistently made? Yes, it is. Cheap can sometimes mean cheaply made, and cheap can sometimes mean not expensive but good value. And it's definitely the latter in this case. They are made to a very consistent standard, all bar that plastic spur gear, which you could change out or you can just soften down with some car polish. So that's it. Consistent. That's what these cars are. As always, thanks for watching one of my videos. If you liked it, you will find a button specifically for that. Please subscribe to the channel. It really does help, and it's free. And if you hit the bell, you'll get a notification the next time I post a video. And as always, check out this slot car channel.